Hello everyone and welcome back to Chicane, where we, your host, Brinley
and McKenna,
put the chic in motorsport.
Our goal is to bring you the latest paddock pulp, provide in-depth and unique interviews with fans and your favorite F1 content creators.
And encourage you in learning about the sport in a fun and innovative way.
We hope you stick around and enjoy this week's episode. If you haven't already, make sure to check out our introduction episode to get to know more about your hosts.
With that, let's get revving.
Woo!
Okie dokie doke. In an interesting mood today. Hello, baby.
We have, if you're watching the video, my daughter's here with us today. Her name's Azariah. I don't know if I've said that yet. But if you're just listening and hearing little baby sounds,
Cooing.
that's just her. So
She's a little bundle of joy. So
yeah.
We're happy to have her. Happy Women's History Month.
Oh yes.
By the way. Let's get into our P1s and DNFs of the week.
All right. So my P1 for the week is on Sunday. We had a really beautiful day.
Mm-hmm.
And I hung out with my sister and brother-in-law, and we played pickleball and frisbee golf, disc golf.
Yeah.
Disc golf. And we just spent hours outside, and it was really fun. My DNF is we still have sickness going in our household. I've been getting a sore throat on and off. We're hoping it's just that.
I think it's just the
I'm
allergies.
actually getting sick. I think it's because the weather keeps
Switching.
going warm and then cold and then warm and then cold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's mine. What about you?
P1. I think I'm gonna say the same thing that I said last week because it actually happened afterwards. But I had a bunch of my friends over. Had a bunch of my friends over, including this one, for tote bag painting, and we had like brownies and like Shirley Temples and some mac and cheese, and then some music, and it was really cool seeing like all of my friends from like my different walks of life come together and like meet each other.
Yeah.
And we got some really cute tote bags.
Yes, I was actually surprised. Mine turned out pretty good.
It did.
I'm not like very good at when it comes to drawing and like painting and stuff. Like I can think of creative ideas, but I can never execute them how I hope to.
Mm-hmm.
And mine turned out pretty good. I was proud of it.
What was your DNF? Did you say that? Oh, the sickness thing.
Sickness still.
My DNF is that I failed my biology test yesterday. It's fine though. I've got like 100 everywhere else in the class, so hopefully that will just keep my grade up and I won't fail the class as a whole.
It'll do fine.
Okay, so we don't have a lot of like paddock pulp this week. Surprisingly, we've had such a kind of a little break with the drama in the sport. There is an update in the Christian Horner situation. The case has been like quote unquote closed. The female employee that had brought up the allegations was suspended from her role. That's what they chose to say. And then there are currently rumors that Christian Horner is still going to be fired, but there hasn't been any confirmation from F1 related sources. It's all like hearsay right now.
It feels like at the beginning they were taking it seriously, and now they're trying to kind of just sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
I have seen the rumors that Christian might be being fired, and we're supposed to get an answer on that before Australia.
Yeah, I heard that too.
So we'll just have to sit and wait and see.
Yeah. I thought it was weird too, because like Jerry, his wife, doesn't go to a lot of the races, and she went to the race last weekend, and they were like paparazzi were like taking pictures, and I was like, I feel like this is just a blanket right now. So interested to see how that goes. And then the other thing that's been circulating but has not been confirmed or by any like F1 related sources is Carlos Sainz Sr. and his nephew, also named Carlos, were spotted in the Mercedes paddock talking to Toto Wolff, manager of Mercedes, team principal. So interested to see if that isn't in any relation to Carlos's seat next season.
I would love to see him at Mercedes.
That would be so interesting. I wonder how George and Carlos's like friendship dynamic is though, because we never see them together.
That's true. Although I feel like Carlos has been a good
partner with people. Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah. I wonder if he will bring out more of like a, I don't know, like fun vibe to Mercedes, because I feel like they're all like cool and collected and like British. So like
prim and proper.
Prim and proper. So I'm wondering like if he did join the team, if they would have more like social media, like I don't know, because when Carlos came to Ferrari, like they started doing like the little C2 challenges and like all of that.
I'm gonna miss
that too.
Much.
So I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I'm like shifting around right now trying to hold her. So
I think that's it for for all of the paddock pulp. Like I said, there wasn't a lot this week, which is kind of a nice breather to have after the past 2 months.
We can just kind of look at the race and appreciate it.
I forgot Carlos's surgery.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty big. Carlos had flew into Saudi Arabia like 3 days before the race, and he was like hanging out with friends and family, eating, shopping, all that kind of stuff. He had posted some pictures and everybody was like, dude, you look like a king right now, like on his little rugs and everything. And then it was announced on Friday or Saturday that he had to go into surgery.
It must have been Friday.
Yeah, I think it was Friday because
Ollie did it. Was Saturday, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So it
was Thursday.
Friday.
Thursday or Friday.
Thursday night or Friday morning.
Yeah, but he was announced and admitted into surgery. Yeah, it's such a hard thing to. This is so funny if you're watching the video.
You can't even see her head. You just like see her hair.
Yeah. She's just reaching for the phone. But he went into surgery for appendicitis, which has happened to 2 drivers now, including him. Rip Alex Albon's appendix. So in place of that, very last minute, F2 driver Ollie Behrman for the Ferrari Driver Academy stepped in for Carlos this weekend, and we will talk about that in a minute.
Yes.
Because there's a lot to talk about. But Carlos did fine. The surgery was very quick, and he said it went well. And then he was at the race on Saturday, walking around, limping around. Yeah.
Cheering everyone on.
Yep. So, our post-race analysis. How did our predictions go? I put in our predictions and then put like check marks if we got them right and X's if we got them wrong. Right. So if you want to read off yours.
So I had a prediction that Red Bull Max would win. And that happened.
Both of those, yeah.
So I won on that one. And then my other 2 I didn't get right. I said Williams would get into Q3 and we'd have a Haas DNF. Neither of those things happened. I think Alex made it to Q2 though.
He did, yeah. Yeah.
So I was almost there.
Almost there. Mine were both Mercedes in the points, which I got. 1 Williams in the points. We didn't have either Williams in the points on the race. Both McLarens in the points, and 1 Aston, which was correct for both of those. And then I said both Red Bulls on podium and 1 Merc on podium. So I got the 2 Red Bulls, no Merc. And then let's see how our hot takes went for the race.
All right. So I said Checo wouldn't podium. I was wrong. There was a Red Bull 1-2 double podium. Which is always fun.
Yeah.
I was a little bummed out I got that one wrong. And then the Haas DNF again didn't happen.
Well, didn't you say Oscar? Something about Oscar?
No, I was reading the wrong thing.
That's you.
Yeah, I said Oscar would finish ahead of Lando, and that happened. It wasn't by. I don't know how much it was by. I don't remember.
Well, I think Oscar got like P5 or something, and Lando got P8.
Okay, yeah. By barely anything.
But still, ahead of him. Mm-hmm. Mine hot take for the race was Lando in the top 5, which didn't happen. And then Max doesn't win, which did happen. So I was wrong.
Yeah.
And then our DNF predictions. You had 2, I think, right?
I said we'd have a Haas and an Alpine.
Mm-hmm. So you got the Alpine right.
We had an Alpine and an Aston.
Aston. That was a funny radio. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, can you bring it back? No.
I'm in the wall.
I'm in the wall. Like.
Although I will say something really quick. I was texting Brittany throughout the entire race because if you were watching depending on whatever program you were watching, it like showed him get out of the car and walk away.
Yeah.
And he was like holding his arm against his chest, and my husband and I both in sync went, "Oh no!" And we thought he had like hurt his wrist like Daniel and broken it, and he's broken his wrists before.
Yeah. So
it's like. He does have metal in him now, so probably a little bit harder. But, like, your bones are more likely to break after you've broken them once already.
Yeah.
And he seems to be okay. They haven't said anything.
Yeah.
And so, but I was a little bit nervous for him.
I was stressed, too. He was, like, cradling his arm, and I was like, oh, please don't mean that hurt. That meant, like, it broke or something. Oh, it's so hard. So kind of just, like, a recap of the race itself. Gasly DNF'd because of a gearbox problem, and he went in after the first lap. It happened on the formation lap.
Yeah. How'd you go, baby? You go back to mama.
I thought the tire strategy was pretty interesting this race. With it being like a longer track and only, what was it, like 57 laps?
Just 50 laps.
50 laps, yeah. So it was one of the longer tracks. Everybody but Behrman and Bottas started on softs. Well, no, they started on mediums. Everybody else, yeah. Bottas and Behrman started on softs. Everybody else on mediums. And the race strategy prediction was that everybody would have a one stop.
Yes.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then
yes, although I feel like the only reason that changed was because of
the safety car.
The safety car.
Yeah. Yeah, Stroll crashed and DNF'd, crashed into the wall. We saw that. And then a safety car deployed on lap 7. Most of the grid pitted after that and changed to hards, except for Lando Norris. And then he led the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix for like a couple laps.
We have a little Lando fan over here.
Every time that we talk about him on or off camera, she starts making noises. Like, it is completely my fault, but
You're like Lando.
She's so cute. I'm trying to look at what we've got. Also, the Magnussen DRS train.
I get why they didn't tell Magnussen that he had a 20-second penalty.
Yeah.
But also, like, I would be so angry.
Yeah.
If I was in his shoes.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was...
I want to be a fly on the wall when he found out.
I thought it was funny because it was like, he really was taking one for the team. Like, he got penalty after penalty, and then he was holding up the rest of the grid just behind him, even though he would not keep his position or whatever after the race. But he was just like, man, I'm not letting anybody, like, fight for Nico or anything. Like, I was like, okay, team player, I see you. But there's been so many memes on social media about, like, DRS train, and he's like, I can't even explain all of them, but they were just funny. I keep seeing them, like, those are hilarious. Mm-hmm. Just, yeah, so I have Magnussen clips Albon. Lando possibly has a 5-second penalty. Magnussen floor damage. 10-second penalty for Magnussen, and then, like, later he gets another 10-second penalty. So there's a lot that happened in this race.
Because there was also a pit lane. There was unsafe release.
Oh, Yuki.
That only got a 5-second penalty.
Yeah.
But one of the things that Magnussen got a 10-second penalty for, I was like, that doesn't deserve 10 seconds.
Mm-mm. I can't remember what his penalty was for, but yeah, I think it was...
One was for causing a collision with Alex.
Yeah.
I think. And then... I don't know what it was.
Behrman. Let's talk about him for a second. Oliver Behrman is the F2 driver for the Ferrari Driver Academy, and he filled in for Carlos this weekend. That kid is insane.
Yeah.
Insane. I was so impressed. Like, I don't watch F2 that much. I think I've watched maybe 1 or 2 races. But he placed what was his starting position whenever he did quali?
So he qualified P11.
Yes.
And he was like 0.3 of a second away from Hamilton. Who, like, squeezed into Q3 because of that, like, 0.3 seconds or whatever it was. Which Ollie had been there for Formula 2, and I'm pretty sure he had gotten pole position already for the Formula 2 race.
Okay.
And was, like, set to race there before everything happened with Carlos.
Yeah. But he started on Saturday, P11, and he gained... Gained 4 positions and finished in 7th on his debut F1 race. And it's at Saudi Arabia, which is like is the fastest street track in the world. It's crazy.
Yeah. I was loving, like, the team radios would be like, "You're doing great."
Did you see the one where he was like stuck behind Lando and he's like, "They're going so slow." Like,
yes,
he's so slow. He's so slow. I was like, "Sir, you just got into an F1 car."
In a Formula 1 car, like, this is pretty different than a Formula 2 car.
Yeah, very different.
There's a lot more things to do and to figure out.
And he was saying in his post-race interview that because of like how quick the whole Carlos thing happened, they didn't have a lot of time to adjust the seat for him. So he was in Carlos's seat. So it's like bigger and like not fit to his body fit or whatever. And he was like, so there was a lot of complications with that. And he was like, and obviously like the G forces I'm not used to. I was like, that's insane that you still got P7 though. Like we have rookies last year that didn't place P7 at any race.
Yeah. Did you see the picture of the car before the race and then after? And there's like a huge dent.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And like that was pushing on him the whole time. So for Lando, he got a 4.1 pit stop, which was pretty long in F1 terms. And then Norris and Hamilton pitted for softs on lap 32. And then Lando had been on and off for penalties. Like they had kept sending it to the stewards. The first one was because he had jumped the start, which apparently also Checo did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but...
I remember... Was it Checo who did it last year, or was it Fernando?
I don't know.
Did it last year, not a penalty for.
Yeah, I don't know. But they said that on the onboard of Checo's cam, you could see that he jumped the start, but like the stewards were so focused on Lando for some reason that...
Yeah. If you don't know, the reason that it didn't get qualified as a penalty is because the car reads it, and if it was like enough of a movement, the car would send it and count it as a jump start, and the car didn't pick it up.
Okay.
So that's why he never had a penalty.
He also was waived for a penalty on the last few laps for weaving on the straight. I think he had Hamilton behind him or something. I can't remember who was behind him, but he had somebody behind him, and when they were on the straight, they had DRS and they tried passing him, and he like moved in front of them, which you're not really allowed to do. If you get the DRS, then you're supposed to let them pass. The fight can be later, but he weaved on the straight, and so that was sent to the stewards, but for some reason it didn't get counted either. So sent for 2 penalties, didn't receive any, which is interesting.
I put Ezra down for a nap, so
she's getting a little
no
fussy.
with us. What? Well, in the room, she's with us still. We're gonna get into the fastest lap and pit stop of the day. So our fastest pit stop was Red Bull with 2.44 seconds. They always have fast pit stops. Their crew is like doubles down, I guess, and gets the work done. And then Charles had the fastest lap, which he set on the last lap.
Yes, he did.
With 1 minute 31 second. With 1 minute 31.632 seconds.
And then our driver of the day was Oliver Behrman.
Yes, which
no
we
surprise.
both voted for.
Yeah, we did.
If you watch the race live, always make sure to go and vote for your driver of the day.
I was texting her and then texting like her sister-in-law. I always want to say like sister, but it's whatever. Yeah, same thing. So her sister-in-law, I was like, guys, we gotta vote for Ollie. He's doing so good.
Yeah, he did really good.
I think it was so funny because like everybody really knows that I'm a McLaren fan, but I was sitting there watching the race, and then I had it on my computer, and then I had the McLaren app on my phone, because it does like all of the personal radios to the drivers and everything. So I was watching the radio, I was watching the race, and then on my driver cam, I had Oliver. I was like, go Ollie! I don't care about Lando this race. Like, I was so focused on him doing well. I felt like a proud mom, and I was like, I was so happy to see him do well. But okay, now we will get into our pit stop fun fact.
Here.
Box. Copy.
Box. Alright, so we're getting into our pit stop fun fact. And that is a Formula One race isn't allowed to have a runtime of more than 3 hours from start to finish. So from lights out to checkered flag. It can't be more than 3 hours. And this rule was put into place in 2011 after the Canadian Grand Prix, where the race runtime was 4 hours and 4 minutes.
Crazy.
And 2 hours of it was delayed due to heavy rainfall. And so after that, they just decided to put a cap on the race. So.
Okay. That's pretty interesting because I feel like as a fan, I wouldn't know what to do in that situation. Like if it was raining all day and then like they're like, oh, we're just going to push the race back for a couple more hours. Okay. I don't know. Because like you paid for those tickets and then like it's pouring down rain outside on you and then you're there for 4 hours. I mean, I like the race, but I don't know if I would be happy with that outcome.
I've been in a race in rainy conditions. It was a qualifying day, and it was rainy, and it was freezing and miserable. And it's so much waiting around. You're there all day, and they're on track for 2 hours, you know? And so, yeah, it's not the most fun thing, unless it was warmer outside.
Yeah.
It was.
If you were, like, warm. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so we do not have a race this weekend. This is a break between the races as everybody heads to Australia, heads down under. The jet lag time is really off and everything, so they give them like a week and a half to get down there and settle in and everything. So this week, instead of a pre-race prediction thing that we usually do, we're gonna give you some information about the F1 Academy. I'm really excited about this. I think for this one we can just like hop like we usually do.
You've done all the research, so you can kind of take the reins.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll just kind of follow you.
We can hop the teams too. Like I have them. There's 5 teams which we'll talk about. We can just go back and forth with each team and driver. But
I'm gonna start.
Yes. So all of the following information can be found on f1academy.com. Some of our thoughts are mixed into this, but the majority of the actual information is from F1 Academy. F1academy.com shares that their story is, quote, a global gateway initiative committed to driving change through increasing female participation and talent in motorsport, using grassroots activities and professional programs to promote and inspire girls and young women to pursue a future in the industry, end quote. If you want to take that next one.
All right. F1 Academy is a racing series under Formula One for female racing drivers. The grid consists of 5 teams with 3 drivers at each team, making a total of 15 drivers.
Starting their second season this year, most drivers are sponsored by an F1 team on this grid, which we will cover when we cover the drivers. If they're not sponsored by an F1 team, they're sponsored by a well-known company that is affiliated with Formula One.
Formula One Academy, I'm jumbling all my words, races at 7 different locations. The first one was Jeddah last week, and we have Miami, Barcelona, Zandvoort, Singapore, Qatar, and the Yas Marina Circuit.
It's okay.
Did I say circuit?
Yes, you said circuit.
It's crazy up in here.
It's okay.
Circuit.
Yes.
I can't read, guys.
You're fine.
Graduate. Just joking. Just a jolly joke.
We're just a girls. We're just
a girl. I'm feeling your mood, and I'm just like biting off of it.
Okay.
Just
Yes, and there's a total, like she said, there's a total of 7 race locations, but for the racing academy, there's 2 races on a weekend instead of just 1. So they'll have a total of 14 races. This weekend for the series looks like, this past weekend for the series looks like a free practice for 40 minutes, quali 1 and 2 on Friday for 30 minutes each, and then 30 minutes for both race 1 on Saturday and race 2 on Sunday. That's how theirs worked.
Yes. And in qualifying, because there's 2 races, they take the fastest lap of the driver, and that's your qualifying position for the first race, and your second fastest lap of qualifying is your position in the second race.
Which is really interesting how they do that. But, I mean, it kind of makes sense in a way. I think last year they did like a reverse grid for the second race.
Oh, interesting.
I believe that's what it how it had happened. How it had happened.
What happened
was. We're just not wording today.
It's interesting. I feel like it would make it harder to like keep track of where you're at. Almost. Because you're like thinking about 2 different times, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird to me. If it was me doing it, I would say your qualifying is for the first race, and then your race finish is where you start in the second race.
I kind of like the other way though, because like if you're Dorian Penn this week, she got pole position and then she won the first race, and then the second race, I don't know what her position starting was, but
I think she started pole on both.
Okay, then she won both races.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about that in a minute.
Kind of.
She kind of won both races. The drivers who take pole position for races 1 and 2 following the final classification of the qualifying sessions will be awarded 2 points. So then we'll go through the point system in a second, if you want to take over that.
All right. For both races, the top 10 classified drivers will be awarded 25, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and 1 points.
Yes, based on the top 10. So what I was saying to that was that in qualifying, you'll be awarded extra 2 points based on your pole position for the first 2 races, for those 2 races. So you could get 27 points if you get pole and that.
Yeah, it's like getting a fastest lap. It's just extra.
Yeah. Okay, so for each race, 1 point will be awarded to the driver who achieves the fastest valid lap time, providing that she was in the top 10 positions of the final race classification. No point will be awarded to the driver who achieved the fastest lap if it is not within the top 10 classified drivers in the final classification, or if the leader has completed less than 50% of the scheduled race distance. So, to put that into easier terms, if a driver is gets the fastest lap time, but she is outside of the point system of the top 10, she won't get a point for the fastest lap, because you do get a point for the fastest lap in Formula 1 and every other racing series. So if she's outside of that, then she won't get that point, and it will be awarded to the next person who's in the top 10 who sets their fastest lap next to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I like that rule that much.
Yeah. I don't know if I do either, but...
Because, in Formula 1, we have people like Danny last year was racing, and, he was P18 or something, and they put sauce on at the end for him to try and get fastest lap.
Yeah.
And so it just adds an extra layer for the people that are outside of the top 10 to kind of race for something still.
Yeah.
But anyways, now we're going to talk about the teams and the drivers. So our first team is, how do you even say that?
Most of them I don't know how to say, so especially the names.
Rodian Motorsport. This team is from New Zealand, but you can find their base in Surrey, England. They are currently second place in constructors, and their drivers are Lola Lovinsforce. I'm so sorry, I'm going to be butchering these lovely women's names. This is the French driver's second season in the academy, and this year she's sponsored by a non-F1 team makeup brand known as Charlotte Tilbury. Should I go for everyone in this one?
Yeah, that's fine.
Our second driver is Abby Pulling. The British driver is entering her second season with the Academy and is sponsored by F1 team BWT Alpine Racing Team. And our last teammate is Jessica Edgar. The young British driver joins her teammates in her second season in the Academy and her second season with this team.
The next team we have for you is MP Motorsport. This team hails from the Netherlands, and you can find their headquarters in West Maas. I don't know where that is, but Google search will help you with that. They are currently in 5th place for the constructors standings. Their drivers are Emily De Haas. The Dutch driver joins MP Motorsport yet again for her second season in the Academy, and she is sponsored by Red Bull Ford as a part of their Academy program. Her teammates are actually an iconic sister duo, with the younger sister, I'm going to try my best with the pronunciations on this, so bear with me, Hamda Al-Qubaisi. The Emirati driver is in her second season at the Academy after she placed 4th in drivers. She is sponsored by Red Bull Racing. Teammate and her older sister, Amna Al-Bakwesi, raced alongside her sister last year as well and is sponsored by Visa Cash app Red Bull. Racing Bulls or whatever they're called. V-Carb.
Our third racing team is Campos Racing. The team itself has origins in Spain, and you can find their base in Valencia. They are currently 3rd in constructors. Their drivers start off with American racing driver Chloe Chambers, and she's a rookie in the Academy. She has a lot of history with racing, and she's sponsored by MoneyGram Haas F1 team. Following her is our German racing driver Carrie Schreiner. She made her debut last season in the Academy, and she's sponsored by Kick Steak Sauber Racing. Finishing off this racing trio is Spanish driver Nevria Marti. She's on her second season in the Academy and is sponsored by Tommy Hilfiger.
The fourth team we are covering is one you might be familiar with if you keep up with F1 feeder series. It's Art Grand Prix. This team is based in France, and their headquarters are in Saint-Pierre-du-Perret. They are currently 4th in constructors. Their drivers start off with internet sensation, Filipino racing driver Bianca Bustamante. She's on her second season at the Academy and is sponsored by McLaren Racing this season. Fun fact, she is the first female driver to be welcomed into the McLaren Racing Driver Development Program across all categories. Following her teammate, Brazilian racing driver Aurelia Nobles joins the grid this year as a Academy rookie. She is sponsored by F1 Academy official partner Puma. Last in this lineup, American racing driver Leah Block joins the grid this season as an Academy rookie as well. She is sponsored by Williams F1 Racing, as well as being a part of their Williams Racing Driver Academy.
Last and certainly not least is our 5th team on the grid this season is Prema Racing, and this team might sound familiar to you if you keep up with the other F1 feeder series. They're an Italian team with their base in... I got the hardest name to pronounce.
I'm so sorry.
I'm going to do my Italian hand here. Rizzango di Zocco Venezia.
That was pretty good.
I have no idea what it is. They're currently 1st place in constructors. And for their drivers, we have Tina Hausman. She's a Swiss driver and is an F1 Academy rookie. And she's sponsored by Aramco Aston Martin F1. Following her teammate and currently holding 1st place in the Drivers' Championship is French racing driver Doreen Pin. She joins the Academy as a rookie, and she's sponsored by Mercedes-AMG Petronas F1 team. And finally, our last driver we are covering is Dutch racing driver Maya Weng. She joins the grid for her second season, and she's sponsored by Scuderia Ferrari F1 team.
Awesome. Great pronunciations. I did not look up how to pronounce any of these names, so hopefully we did most of them justice. The whole of the Academy is led by F1 Academy Managing Director Susie Wolf. Her husband is Mercedes F1 team principal, and this powerful woman is known for her racing craft as well. She has some history in racing. She was one of the few women who were able to test an F1 car. I think it was back in like 2016 or 2013. But she's an icon. She's a legend. She's the moment. Yes. And she is in charge of everything that happens down there.
If you would like to keep up with the season updates, you can follow them on F1 TV.
So just a little coverage of the last race and some news. They had their first race in Jeddah this past weekend following the F1 calendar. And the first race was won by Dorian Pin. She's the rookie that we were talking about. And then the second race, she placed pole position and did win the race originally, but then the communication status between her and her racing engineers and strategists did not work the way that we all wanted it to, and she did an extra lap after the race had flagged, and apparently that's considered a penalty. So the race first place got placed to Abby Pullein, who was in second place when the original race finished. So I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah, I think it doesn't happen very often, so
yeah,
it's not talked about.
I was like, because I mean, if you think about it, you're in the car, you're only trying to focus on not crashing, driving your fastest, driving your best, and avoiding the people around you. Yeah. So like, you don't have any way to tell what lap you're on. Your engineer and strategist are supposed to tell you what lap you're on. Yeah. So she unknowingly did an extra lap, which was interesting. I've never seen that since my time in Formula One.
Yeah, which is like, they're all kind of an extra lap anyway because you have to get back around into the pit lane. Yeah. But it's usually just a cool down lap. No wave to everyone.
That was fun.
She was just in racing mode.
Yeah. She's crazy though. Like, I don't know much about her racing history, but as we said, like, she's a rookie, and they said that like in testing and quali and like so far what we've seen, she's phenomenal. And she's one of the younger drivers on the grid.
Yeah, she was doing really good. We watched the race, and it was really fun to watch.
Yeah, Bianca was having some issues with track limits. Yeah. She kept going out on the barriers, so that was interesting. And then I think Leah spun out at one point. But I'm trying to get more into the F1 Academy this season. I kept up with a little bit in last season, but I mean, girls rule the world, so.
Yeah. The world. Excuse me.
So just a reminder, there is no race this weekend for any category. Tune in next week for pre-race info on Albert Park, Australia. So next time we talk, I guess we'll see you down under.
Down under.
Down under. Let us know if our Australian accents are pretty good.
We have a Robert Irwin stan over here, so
I'm just an Australia fan.
We're hoping that you might make a cameo out of the race.
That would be so cool. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I made a little graphics poster just for fun because I was like, I've got like a week and a half to make one before the race. So I made a McLaren Albert Park Australia poster for their race week posters that they put out each week. It was pretty fun. I did a little research on the park and the track and everything. So apparently the last McLaren Australia win was by Jenson Button in 2012.
Okay.
So Oscar, I think you can do it, babe. You can probably get P2.
Oscar.
Yeah.
I want Oscar to win.
Yeah. I mean, it's a home race. I wouldn't want any home race people. Well, also Danny. I forgot about Danny. But like Oscar's in a better car. A little better. Yeah. I think Oscar's a wonderful driver. So.
Did you see the meme? And it was like how Checo feels seeing Danny spin in front of him.
No.
It was like, I don't even know what it was. But because like Danny spun at one point last weekend, but like I guess Checo was behind him, so like he could see. And just like how Checo feels because he knows that they're looking at Danny to him potentially. Yeah,
I was actually talking to one of my friends today about the whole like seat switch up and everything. And I genuinely think that they need to put some rookies in. Like, I know that that's such a gamble and everything, but seeing how good Oliver did on such a tolling track, like, I think that we need to bring some younger talent in. Like, I would like to see him, Paul Aaron, who's in the F2 series as well. I'd like to see Mick back. Who else? Felipe, he's a little bit older, but he's the reserve driver for Aston Martin, I believe. Felipe Drogovic. He's a pretty good driver. I would just like to see some new talent come up and see what they can do with the car, because we have some experienced drivers and it's kind of just been the same.
I do feel like it's coming. I've said this before, but I feel like Fernando's nearing retirement. And with Lewis going to Ferrari, I feel like he'll also retire soon. Maybe after a year or two at the team.
Yeah. I was thinking that he'd be there for a year. If he doesn't get a championship, then he's gonna dip.
Yeah.
Unless he wants to stay for the 2026 regulation, see how that messes with the car, and then dip.
Yeah.
He wants that last 8th championship.
Yes. I mean, who wouldn't?
I know.
Break records.
Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, I think that's all we've got for you today.
All right. So, that's Checkered Flag for today. Hope you enjoyed the episode. We will get flags eventually.
Yeah, eventually. And we will see you next time down under. I'm just going to keep saying that because I love using the accent.
Yes.
Bye, guys.